on. Why would Europe get involved in helping us when we didn't even ask for their help? Trump says that he doesn't want it. And by the way, he continues to alienate them by launching ridiculous tariffs that make everything more expensive, by trying to pass this over to them. And earlier today, he threatened to withdraw all troops from Europe if Denmark doesn't give him Greenland.
Yeah. Now, in this clip, we're going to see Mike Nellis, the Democratic strategist who was key to Kamala Harris's campaign for president, absolutely lose it on the Republicans on the panel for they're trying to defend what Donald Trump is doing in regards to the ceasefire and the war that's still ongoing in Iran. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, commentary, and perspective towards the end. Let's get into it.
Breaking news tonight, U.S. Central Command says it has finished its latest round of strikes against Iran, hitting more than 80 targets. The attacks were in response to a series of Iranian strikes on commercial ships near the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian state media reports several blasts were heard on Karg Island, a vital hub for Iranian oil exports. Now, the backdrop of all of this is the high-stakes NATO summit happening right now in Turkey. President Trump received a very warm welcome as he arrived there earlier today, and he later met with Turkey's strongman leader and used his time to air his many grievances.
But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries. Why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
Trump once again falsely claims that NATO has never been there for us. I also think it seems that given how this war has gone on, given how they've gotten into a settlement with Iran, a memorandum of understanding that, as of right now, had to be paused for more strikes because Iran is not abiding by the MOU, it seems like Europe got it right. They understood what this was and they didn't want to get involved in it.
Well, they are involved with it now. The Strait of Hormuz is a global issue. It's not just something that the United States is going to deal with. And, you know, the United States is doing everything the right way, as far as we know. They're sitting down with Iran. They're trying to come to an understanding. Iran is the one that's breaking the ceasefire, and we have to show a message that you don't get to continuously do that. They're making some strategic mistakes beyond just messing with this MOU. I mean, I think one of the ships that was targeted was a Qatari ship. They're going after folks in their own orbit, and they're going after their own allies. They're just creating more problems for them long term. Now, I think ultimately this is all political. They know that there's an election coming up. I think they're using this as leverage to go after the Trump administration. I don't think we're going to have a deal in however many days are left in the 60 days. I think that's going to be extended. So it becomes political. And we're just going to have to deal with this for another several months, unfortunately. But I do think that it would come to a conclusion faster if Europe stepped up in a bigger way and started playing a bigger role here.
What do you want Europe to do at this point?
I want Europe to say that they're standing with the United States and that the Strait of Hormuz has to be completely open.
They can't bomb them anymore than we've bombed them.
Why would Europe get involved in helping us when we didn't even ask for their help? Trump says that he doesn't want it. And by the way, he continues to alienate them by launching ridiculous tariffs that make everything more expensive, by trying to pass this over to them. And earlier today, he threatened to withdraw all troops from Europe if Denmark doesn't give him Greenland.
Yeah,
that's not the way you engage with your allies.
Let me play that sound. I mean, he actually encapsulated all of his problems with NATO down to the Greenland issue. Listen.
Well, that's what hurt my relationship with NATO, because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland. It was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark.
What?
Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing?
For the briefest of moments, I just had like a hint of sympathy for his staff, who is probably like just scratching their heads, wondering why he is doing this again. It's just this kind of he's famously petty. Like, we weren't treated very well, like you weren't looking out for us. I wasn't even sure I was going to come. Like, none of that makes any sense at this point. You ought to be trying to restore your relationships and strengthen your relationships with NATO allies at a moment when you do, in fact, hope that Europe gets involved in this situation with the Straits to help straighten out the mess that you helped create.
Yeah.
And as if the Greenland stuff wasn't enough, as if the tariff stuff wasn't enough, as if, you know, poo-pooing on NATO entirely wasn't enough, he shows up, what, a couple of days after he got his puppet at FIFA, Infantino, to remove the red card against the host country of NATO, which happens to be Belgium, where basically every Belgian this morning, you know, every Belgian today woke up making fun of Donald Trump and imitating his silly YMCA milk the cows.
I thought you were going to talk about the F-35 fighter jets. I didn't realize we were going to divert to the red card. But in addition to all of that, they are considering giving F-35 fighter jets to Turkey, which in the first Trump administration had been basically banned by Congress because they use Russian radar systems. And it's also controversial because U.S. ally Israel doesn't want it. Bibi Netanyahu talked to Dana Bash today, and here's what he said.
It's a regime that's infected with the Muslim Brotherhood, which hates the United States. He harbors Hamas, the Hamas terrorists. He supports them. He finances them. He's thrown his opponents in jail, all of them. And so he's not exactly a model ally of the United States.
So he is considering giving the country these planes, F-35s.
Well, as I said, it would destroy the power balance in the Middle East because Turkey, I think, has aggressive aspirations.
And, you know, on top of the whole F-35 thing, which, again, they're considering, it doesn't appear that they've made a decision yet, Trump also made it very clear the only reason he went to the NATO summit is because it was hosted by Turkey. He repeatedly described Erdoğan as a closer ally, as somebody more aligned with him than the rest of Europe. And, yeah, Turkey is in NATO, but the point is, I think that is a controversial view for Trump to throw the rest of Europe under the bus in favor of Erdoğan at this moment.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily throwing the rest of Europe under the bus. I do think Netanyahu is correct to point out that Turkey is not necessarily a model ally for the United States. I also think the reasons that we stopped sending them F-35s were legitimate then, and I think those concerns remain today. And whether or not the circumstances have changed remains unclear. We also don't have the same access that President Trump has. I also think it's important to note two things. The F-35s that we give to Israel, that we would give to Turkey, are not the same capabilities that we have. They are not they're less advanced than ours. So we do have the ability, for example, if we need be, to take them down if they were ever used against the United States. The other thing is that the Department of Defense typically works with other countries if we're building something or selling them a product to ensure that there are security protocols in place and procedures so that there can't be things like espionage by Russia or China or one of our adversaries. So if those things were in place and Turkey met the requirements Congress set, I do think there could be an argument for selling them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the reporting is that they would mitigate some of those concerns. But I think the broader geopolitical concern is that Trump has his allegiances in the wrong place.
Well, you asked an important question earlier, is why is he throwing NATO under the bus? Why is he engaging with autocrats? Same thing with Viktor Orban, right? Like, they love Viktor Orban. J.D. Vance went to go campaign for the guy, even though he was not a good human being and clearly a Russian puppet. And you see this consistently with Donald Trump's administration. If you kiss up to him enough, like the head of FIFA did, if you give him a fake peace prize, if you put money in his back pocket, he will sell out the American people, and he will sell out even some of our closest allies like Bibi Netanyahu. And Trump has been making deals all throughout the Middle East through Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff and the rest of them. Those are, in my opinion, immoral. They're bad for the American people. They make us less safe, but they put a lot of money in his back pocket. So my guess is, on some level, he's either getting the feeling that he wants from somebody who's going to talk him up and say the right thing, or he's making money on the back end of this like everything else.
But, you know, I mean, Bibi Netanyahu really gave a master class on how to suck up to Trump, right? Yeah. Visited him in Mar-a-Lago all the time, was with him the entire time, even when he was out of office.
Got him to launch a war for him.
But it also feels like he's lost a lot of footing and leverage with Trump. Trump keeps telling him lately, shut up and know your place and do as you're told and leave me alone.
Because I thought Democrats said the Jews control everything.
Both publicly.
There's a lot of Republicans who say that too.
All right, we'll leave it there for that conversation.
Honestly, Jason Rantz is just such a weasel. But look, we'll leave that there. But look, the interesting thing for me when it comes to all of this, and we saw this conversation, and this is why I genuinely believe that Americans should be worried, because of one of two things. Either, number one, Donald Trump doesn't understand the way that NATO alliance operates. That's number one. Or number two, which is the other side of it, that he understands the way that it is, but he just repeatedly tells these lies to the American people as well as the rest of the world, simply because of the fact that what it is that he's saying, he knows that it's just not true. Because he knows that NATO has been there for America when they've needed it. They have. When you actually take a look, after 9/11, NATO was there to help the United States of America in its response to the war on terrorism. So that is just fundamentally not true. But the most important thing, and I think it's a thing that Mike Nellis chimed in on, Donald Trump done what it is that he done off of his own back without letting NATO know. The same way he didn't go to Congress to be able to seek the right powers to be able to do what it is that he needed to do, is the same way he never approached NATO. Now, when you actually take a look at what NATO is a defense alliance. That's what they concentrate on, and that's what it is that they do. Defense. It's not an offensive alliance. That's not the way that it works. They will chime in and they will help a member of the alliance when they are attacked, not when somebody decides to go on the attack. So Donald Trump just doing this constant whining and going around Europe and crying to the rest of the world. And then in the same breath, he wants to turn around and say things like, oh, I actually didn't need their help. Well, if you didn't need their help, why are you then complaining and going around and crying about what it is that NATO did or didn't do? This is the part that is so hard to understand when it comes to these guys. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below on this clip. Jason Rantz is always going to do the best that it is that he can do to bend over backwards and allow Donald Trump to have his way with him. But it's always good to see people like Abby Phillip, Anna Navarro, and Mike Nellis push back on the narratives and the ideas these guys want to push. As usual, harp up the video, give the video a thumbs up, and hit subscribe. See you guys in the next one.